Hey, what's happening, guys? What's going on? You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Today is Thursday, December 22nd, 2022. We're just a couple days out from Christmas. You guys have probably heard the news about this storm of the century, the super cyclone sweeping the country. Apparently, like the whole country is going to get hit with the snowstorm. They're building this up as if it's going to be the storm of the century, although I know here in Chicago we're expecting 3 to 5 inches of snow. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal, although I guess the wind chill's supposed to be cold and the wind's supposed to be blowing pretty strong, which could make things kind of gusty. But I don't really get this all the hype about this superstorm. It almost seems like it's kind of setting up a reason for why holiday travel is down, why last-minute holiday purchases are down, etc. Yesterday was kind of a crazy day in markets. We had the Dow up 500 points and the Nasdaq up 100 points. And based on what, right? Like based on what even the talking heads, even the financial analysts on TV don't know what to credit this to. We have the savings rate down to 2.3% from over 7% a year ago. That means for every $100 the average person earns, they're able to save $2.30. Housing is down. We have nothing but bad news coming out, and the markets rally. So that's kind of weird. Housing sales down 7%. Housing is the biggest driver of the economy and wealth. And I believe right now 4 in 10 Americans believe there's going to be a housing crash. And among those 4 in 10 Americans, 3 out of 4, 75% of them believe it's going to be worse than 2008. Here's some other bad news for the economy. Gen Z. 20%, 1 in 5, 20% of Gen Z has accounts in collections. We talked a couple weeks ago about how over half of Gen Zers, and again, they're only 18 to 25, so it's not like they're 40-year-olds living at home, but over 50% of Gen Zers are living at home with their parents. So what does that say that, most Gen Zers live with their parents, yet they already have accounts and collections? They don't have a mortgage to pay. They don't have rent to pay. They don't have all the bills that most people have to pay living on their own. And 20% of them already have accounts in collections. We know that buy now, pay later has become a problem for young people. They feel like they can rack up all this debt. They're able to get all this debt that maybe a credit card company wouldn't traditionally give them. And they are racking up debt. Another thing you have to consider when we talk about all this bad news is things haven't even gotten bad. The media, economists are still not admitting that we're in a recession, though now the tables are kind of swinging. Just a week or two ago, we were hearing that, of the Fed's top economists, they were giving a 50-50 chance of a recession. It's now up to 70%, and I think most of us realize we already are in a recession. So let's talk a little bit about the SBF, FTX. It's always hard to keep those in order. Let's talk about the Sam Bankman-Fried situation. So about a week ago, Caroline Ellison was seen in New York City, and it was weird because Sam Bankman-Fried had hung back in the Bahamas, and a lot of people were suspecting that she was snitching. Well, she has hired a high-power lawyer who was, tied to Hillary Clinton. And she is turning on Sam Bankman-Fried. We also know that Ryan Salami guy, I believe the co-founder of FTX, he was actually the one that tipped the government off to SBF stealing money. And then Gary Wang, who's been missing, he has also agreed to cooperate. This whole situation's moving very quickly. I guess they've already filed pleas. Let's see, I got some notes here from one of the articles. Ellison pleaded guilty to 7 counts, including wire and securities fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering, which carry a maximum sentence of 110 years in prison, while Wang pleaded guilty to 4 counts of fraud with a maximum 50-year sentence. So it's really kind of amazing how, within about a week, we went from all these people being in the Bahamas to everybody's turned on Sam Bankman-Fried, and they've already filed pleas. So one YouTuber who I've been watching lately is a gentleman by the name of The Uneducated Economist, and he's big in the lumber industry. He works in the lumber industry. A lot of his housing predictions and economic predictions are kind of based on what's going on in the lumber industry, which makes sense, right? Because housing drives the economy and lumber is needed for housing. So he talks a lot about this, but I saw an article on, I believe, Zero Hedge. Lumber peaked at $1,336 per 1,000 board feet in late February. Well, that number is down to about $380 this week, and that represents a dramatic 72% decline in prices. primarily due to elevated mortgage rates, slowing housing activity, waning home builder confidence, and overall mounting macroeconomic headwinds. So, the housing market is not looking good. The economy is not looking good. Housing markets on the West Coast, California, Oregon, Idaho, Colorado, these ones seem to be almost in full crash mode, whereas you have Southwest Florida only down about 3%. So, demand is keeping prices steady in areas that people still want to move to. A lot of people shit on Florida, but it's kind of funny how during the Mexican beer cough, Don Lemon and his boyfriend were down in Miami, maskless, dining out at cafes. All these politicians who told you to stay home and not travel, all these politicians who wanted people locked away, very convenient how they were all heading to Florida. And Florida is this place that everybody hates, but it's clearly a place that everybody wants to be. So Zelensky showed up at the White House yesterday in a sweatshirt, begging for money. I guess kind of the story leading into this is we're going to give him $45 billion plus like another $1.7 billion, and Zelensky was basically showing up to say that's not enough money. It's kind of crazy. He showed up in a sweatshirt too. I realize he's kind of the casual president, but you would think if you're coming to ask for damn near $50 billion, you'd at least show up in a suit. Biden made a statement. A lot of people were starting to think that maybe some of the support for Ukraine was waning, but Biden basically made a statement saying, Zelensky, Ukraine, you guys are not alone. We're with you every step along the way. It's really kind of crazy. We act like we're kind of like uninvolved in the situation, as does a lot of the rest of Europe. But at the same time, we're sending so much weapons and money and aid over there. A lot of it is just being wasted on corruption. I told you guys, check out the YouTube channel. I think I've been saying it wrong. It's Willie0am. I think YouTube doesn't want you to see it. It's kind of hard to find. I did link to it in a video yesterday. The government is spending this $1.7 trillion omni spending bill. Of that, $45 billion is going to go to Ukraine. And who do you guys think is paying for this? You and I are paying for this. We're borrowing money. We're printing money. Why are we on the hook for this? What are we going to get in return for this? This is on top of $100 billion we've already sent over there. And here's another thing that's weird about this whole situation, right? The left used to be very anti-war. Now they absolutely love war. I see people on Twitter and Reddit who used to be anti-war, who are literally playing these videos of these drones dropping grenades on young Russian men, and you're seeing people get blown up by these grenades, like, roiling in pain on the ground, and slowly bleeding out and dying. And people on Twitter and Reddit are kind of laughing, let's kill some more Russians, as if you on both, this war is pointless, and you have young men who probably don't want to be there dying on both sides, and people are cheering this on. Another weird thing about this, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram have all revised their policies about hate speech when it comes to Russia specifically. And this is very different than other wars we've seen in the past. When we were at war in Afghanistan and Iraq, kind of the narrative from the media and the government was, not all Arabs are bad, not all Muslims are bad. This is a war against Saddam Hussein or Osama bin Laden. We're not against the people. Remember, we were trying to win hearts and minds, even though we were killing a lot of civilians and children and women while we were doing it. But we were trying to win hearts and minds. And with Russia, we're kind of villainizing and demonizing everybody. Let's not let them participate in the Olympics. Let's not let them travel. Screw Russians. It's kind of interesting that this is right on the heels of us learning that the FBI, the Department of Justice, various departments of the government were basically spreading propaganda on Twitter. Not only have we learned that the FBI basically infiltrated Twitter and had employees at Twitter, Twitter sent employees over to the FBI. The FBI paid Twitter over $3.5 million of taxpayers' money to be able to ban certain accounts that they didn't like, which there was really no reason for banning. Also, we learned that the FBI was having Twitter push, anti-Iran stories, pro-Saudi Arabia stories, pro-Ukraine stories. And now the FBI is basically kind of, same thing from the playbook, call everybody a conspiracy theorist who calls this out and try to discredit people. Just in terms of like social unrest and societal decay, I saw another story. In Canada, I believe it was in Toronto, a group of 13 to 15-year-old teenage girls brutally beat to death and stabbed a homeless man in Toronto. Think about this. 13 to 15-year-old girls, like middle school girls, freshman girls in high school, are beating a homeless man to death. We had another story come out the other day. Regular exercise helps protect against the Mexican beer cough. Yet over the past 2 years, we were closing gyms. We were giving people free hamburgers and donuts and beer for going to get the thing. Do you really believe that these people care about your health? There's a big push for this body positivity movement. I'm in total agreement. We shouldn't shame fat people. We shouldn't make fat people feel bad. We shouldn't make fun of them. But the same idea, celebrating somebody who's 500 or 600 pounds, which is outright unhealthy, is just insane. It's clown world. And recently, a 37-year-old obese TV star, I think she had some TV show called Supersized Boutique or something like that. She recently died of heart failure. So it's turning out that this body positivity thing is unhealthy for people. Shocking, right? We're spending more than we make. We don't make anything. We don't manufacture anything. All we do is create debt, and this is going to lead to a new monetary system. But again, maybe this is all part of the plan. Tesla has announced a hiring freeze, and we're also going to see more layoffs from Tesla in 2023. The Washington Post has reported that Nord Stream 2 sabotage does not look like it was Russia. This according to 23 different diplomatic and intelligence officials. And it's looking like it may have been the U.S. that did it. The giant Bitcoin miner called Core Scientific has filed for bankruptcy. I hadn't looked at crypto today, but crypto is kind of like crabbing down, trading sideways, maybe losing 0.5% to 2% every day. Housing was expected to fall in November 5.5%. It actually wound up falling 7.7%. Number of home sales is falling, but in many markets, prices are still actually increasing due to a lack of inventory. Kamala Harris came out yesterday and said that social media companies should cooperate and work with us, which is odd, kind of following us finding out that the Democratic Party was basically controlling what could and could not be said on Twitter. But, rather than kind of saying, this is kind of weird, this kind of incestual relationship between the government and Twitter, yet Kamala Harris wants social media companies to work with her even more, work with the government even more. And again, if this was going on at Twitter, you can imagine that it was probably going on at every other major social media platform as well. Recent Gallup poll found that Americans' mental health is at all-time lows, and I think we kind of see that around us. 1 in 5 adults, young adults 18 to 24, has debt in collection. Let's see, we heard from Austin Fitts, a former United States Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, has recently come out and said there is no such thing as left and right. There's simply corruption. She said the U.S. government is so fraudulent, it will self-destruct much sooner rather than later. And this is a person who, was running the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So, she saw plenty of fraud in her day. Plenty of fraud, waste, corruption. I kind of touched on this, but Biden told Zelensky, "You have not stood alone. We've stood with you. Are we in a war or not? If you got jumped by a friend and your friend watched you get your ass beat, but vocally showed support from the sidelines, would you be happy? Probably not." And kind of another example of this, it's kind of funny how we act like we're not at war in Russia. If I was getting my butt beat by somebody and their friends started handing them baseball bats and weapons, but was like, "Hey, don't be mad. I'm not doing anything." You're pretty much just as guilty. You're participating in the war as well. So this whole thing is just very odd. I kind of touched on this. The FBI said that everybody is conspiracy theorists, and they should basically know that the FBI has infiltrated social media for a long time. Just a couple of kind of key facts about this. The FBI took Hunter Biden's laptop in December of 2019 and knew it didn't come from hacking. Yet then in 2020, they were telling Twitter that a hacked and leak involving Hunter would occur in October of 2020. So they knew that this wasn't true, but were telling Twitter this. That's kind of weird. And then the FBI was spying on Rudy Giuliani when he gave the laptop to the New York Post. The Taliban has recently banned women from attending college. Ironically, at the same time, we just sent them pallets of money, a bunch of aid money. Peloton is working to block inappropriate content, excluding explicit profiles. I'm not on Peloton, so I don't really know what the profile system looks like, but apparently, people are putting inappropriate images on there. Putin is angry at Zelensky visiting the U.S. and says that there is no chance for peace. I saw a video on WorldStar the other day. A woman was throwing computers at airline employees. I don't know if her flight got canceled or whatever. This is nothing new. World Star Hip Hop has been, people flipping out in public for a long time. When we talk about like society going down the drain, degeneracy, one thing that I kind of wonder, like, did people have these meltdowns? Did people, attack fast food workers and restaurant workers and things like that? Was all of this going on in the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s, and we just didn't know about it because people didn't have camera phones and social media to document it? Or are we seeing kind of a decline in law and order? And kind of some more like entrepreneurial type news. I kind of lost my place here. TikTok. So the TikTok Show You page will now feature a little question mark that kind of explains to you why a video is being shown to you. I'm not really super involved in TikTok, but this is kind of interesting. If you want to better understand the algorithm, you can see why they're recommending certain videos to you and why certain videos are showing up on the For You page. It could be that somebody is connected to somebody you follow. It could be that a video has happened within your general location. But that's kind of a new tool on TikTok. Twitter has launched Twitter Blue for Business. It's going to be a blue box check mark as opposed to kind of the crest. And apparently affiliated accounts, i.e. employees, owners, etc., can also get the badge next to their name. So, if you work for a cosmetic company, the cosmetic company can get a Twitter badge, and then all the employees and influencers and everybody connected to that company can also get a badge that identifies them as being with that company. Let's see, Twitter lays off more engineers just days before Christmas, and U.S. home sales have fallen for a 10th straight month. I might have a couple other, no, I think that's kind of all the stories for today. So this one's pretty quick. I felt like today was a little bit more of a busy news day and interesting news day, but somehow the video wound up being about half the length of the others, which I think is actually probably a good thing. If you guys enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. It helps get the video out to other people. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts, opinions, and comments on kind of everything discussed today, as well as any predictions that you have for 2023. I'm sure I'll make some more videos before Christmas, but if I don't talk to you guys before then, have a wonderful Christmas, wonderful holiday, and enjoy some time off work, some time with friends and family. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button down below and ring the bell. That's all I got for you guys today, and I'll catch you on the next video.